What up, friends? It's Because I'm an Introvert, and today we're going to be reviewing Purple Kiss's newest mini-album, Cabin Fever. This is the 5th mini-album by K-pop girl group Purple Kiss. Purple Kiss is honestly one of the more slept-on girl groups of the 4th generation, I find. Despite not reaching super huge levels of success, Purple Kiss have found themselves carving a pretty unique niche into the K-pop scene, featuring the sort of like Halloween-core sounds that they've been going for the past few mini-albums. Some of their songs are a bit safer than others, and not all of their songs go for that sort of Halloween-core aesthetic. However, I really enjoyed their 2021 single Zombie, especially in the mini-album that came with it, alongside the first mini-album as well, and while the other mini-albums that they've released since then have not reached Zombie's height for me personally, they were still pretty good. They still had some cool vibes to them, however, Cabin Fever really takes them back to the uniqueness that I was missing from Zombie's era. They're reaching the highs that were present on Hide and Seek with this mini-album, and honestly, it just makes me really excited about what Purple Kiss might do in the future. The intro, Save Me, starts the mini-album off pretty strong, featuring this very haunting and ominous vibe that actually segues into the first real song pretty nicely. My girl Yuki kills it as usual, however Swan's vocals especially are really ambient and ethereal on this track. She really kills it here too. It is short, but the huge synths and beat make this track really pack a punch. I honestly just wish this song was turned into an actual song, because this instrumental just has too much power to just be wasted on an intro, even if the intro is good. Next up we get the lead single for the mini-album, Sweet Juice, and this is by far one of Purple Kiss's best songs. Like, let's be real here, it has this sort of like liquid-esque and pulsing beat, like oh my god, it's so cool. Their vocals are haunting, and the chorus is so slick with how their vocals swell and the strings just follow them. The piano is incredible, and the way the instrumental just builds and billows all around here, it's just fantastic. Yuki's rap is smooth as hell, and again, Swan's vocals are just killer on this one. It feels so theatric, like we're in Phantom of the Opera or something. Swan and Yuki also have a really interesting combination in vocal tones. I find their vocal tones work really well together. It's by far one of the most interesting K-pop songs that I've heard in a long time, to be honest. It's just so intricately layered and expressive. It's really well composed, and the lyrics are also pretty interesting and complement the vibes of this track, featuring like something from a scene from a movie, like a candle lit in the darkness. It heightens the vibe even more. Like, I can't praise this track enough. Like, they really should be proud of this one. Take also has that sort of ambient and wistful hotel sound. However, this time it features a bit more of a heavy beat and more ominous vocals. I called them Halloween-core before, and I really mean it, especially on this track. The dark guitar picking, the omnipresent synth, like this track just commands your attention. It almost feels like they're putting a spell on you, like the flow on this one is smooth yet powerful at the same time. I honestly hope in the future they really lean into this sound and the sound of Sweet Juice, because this is some great stuff. It has this vibe like a villain slowly chasing you down a hallway. Like, how do they do it? The lyrics referring to this dark, sort of fairy tale-like love also help this track tie into the previous one nicely. Autopilot kind of forgoes the haunting sounds of the previous two songs in favor of I can basically describe it 80s chase scene music, but hey, I am really digging the sounds here, even if it is a total tonal shift. I mean, I love the 80s vibes of Zombie, so this is pretty on brand for me. The synth and beat are driving, and that pre-chorus also has this sort of beat break that really changes the energy and vibe of the track in a pretty engaging way. It's a really neat change of pace, and the chorus is really catchy, and I think Chaein especially is really killing it on the vocal front here. The little synth flourishes on this song also help the track change its instrumental just enough to the point where it doesn't become stale, while also keeping it pretty condensed and solidified into one core sound. I also really like that piano and acoustic rendition of the main melody that plays during the outro of this track. It really ties this song back into the mini-album's more theatric identity. Agit, or Agate, I don't know how you say this one, is also a pretty fun song. However, it forgoes that haunting vibe even more than the previous song did and just fully embraces that 80s cheese. It is total 80s synth pop, not even trying to go for the ominous and theatric vibes of the previous songs on this mini. The slap bass is punchy and fun, however, I can't help but feel that the main instrumental on this one feels a bit hollow compared to that of the previous songs. The chorus especially also really has that cheesy B-movie vibe to it, and I'm also really digging the sort of synth-funk tendencies on the instrumental here. Again, though, it is a bit bare compared to the other songs on the project, and I also feel like it kind of strays from the ethos and identity of the project a bit too much, even in a way that Autopilot didn't. It's not a bad track, but I find it pretty unfitting for the project. Yuki's rap verse is very fun on this one, though, I'll give it that. We kind of end on a pretty typical and traditional K-pop ballad with So Far So Good. However, I will give it to them that they did swap out the normal acoustic guitar for an electric guitar here. The flows on this track are honestly pretty smooth, having that sort of contemporary R&B sound to them. However, again, I find it kind of bare and simple compared to a lot of the previous songs on here. On a pretty maximalist mini-album, I find that this one kind of stands out as being a bit boring in comparison. It's a pretty serviceable song, but compared to Sweet Juice and Take, like, it's not even close to matching the vibes on that one. This is such an interesting mini-album for Purple Kiss. It kind of goes for the sort of B-movie horror aesthetic they were going for on Hide and Seek. However, it takes the sound in a much more theatric and ominous direction. Like I said, it kind of has that sort of Phantom of the Opera style theatrics to it. It's such a unique sound for K-pop, like I can't think of any group doing something like Sweet Juice. It's niche, for sure, but they really killed it on a lot of these tracks. The lyrics also really match these vibes, and I found that there was a good amount of variety on here too. However, occasionally that variety can be a bit of a double-edged sword. Some songs, like Agit, are good, but they stray a bit too far from the sound that was previously established by the first 3 songs. Autopilot does come close, but it still has those 80s vibes, and also a bit more serious tone to it that makes it at least fit in a little bit better. The last song was also pretty by the numbers as far as K-pop ballads go, which kind of betrays the mini-album's sound. That being said though, the unfitting songs still are pretty good. However, I wish they committed a bit more to those sort of ominous, haunting theatrics that were present in the early parts of the mini-album. A mini-album or a full album of sounds like that would make them stand out immensely, and I think would really take them to the next level. I just hope they continue with this sort of Halloween core sound and take it further. It's their defining trait for sure, and I find that their vocals and flows just fit incredibly well with it. All that being said, I'm feeling a strong 7 on Purple Kiss's newest mini-album. Of course, we do still have to talk about album covers on this show, and I really like this album cover too. It definitely has that sort of Phantom of the Opera, sort of regal hotel aesthetic to it that I think just fits this mini-album sound perfectly. The color combinations were really nice, that bold purple mixed with the gold. It's really elegant, really regal. However, it does sort of give that sort of like old school charm to it that kind of fits, again, the theatrics of the mini-album. So I actually really like the imagery, I really like the color choices. I think this was a really great cover for the mini-album. But those are just my thoughts on this newest mini-album by Purple Kiss. What did you guys think? Do you think this is just a solid continuation of their sound? Maybe this is something that they should explore further? Or are you kind of missing their more lighthearted and maybe traditional poppy stuff of some of their earlier mini-albums? Let me know. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell if you too never leave the house, and until the next one, farewell.